Hello, and welcome to today's story. If you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more. The story you're about to hear is based on accounts and rumors. Its full truth can't be confirmed. Now sit back, relax, and let's dive right in. I wasn't supposed to be awake that late, but Sleep and I had been on a trial separation for weeks. The apartment felt like a tank, stripped of its engine, still heavy and full of echoes. My monitor was the only light, casting a soft aquarium glow over the mess on my desk. Energy drink cans lined up like a dysfunctional skyline, a chipped mug with a fossilized ring of coffee, and my gaming mouse fraying at the cable like an old nerve. I had been grinding ranked matches until the queue turned into a graveyard. No friends online, no smack talk and voice. Just me, a mechanical keyboard, and the sad applause of plastic keys. Should have been enough white noise to drown out thoughts, but that's the problem with quiet nights. Your mind starts clicking open drawers you didn't give it permission to touch. At 2:13, a message popped into my Discord. No avatar, just a black circle with a single dot of red in the center, like a pupil. Unknown. Invitation available. Expires in 10 minutes. I hovered, waiting for the punchline. Nobody sends you something good at the 2 a.m. hour, unless they're selling miracle powder or pushing a streamer's prank. The link preview was a string of Unicode characters that looked like an EKG in mid-heart attack. No domain I recognized. Beneath it, under forum, claim your handle. I typed LOL, what is this? Then deleted it. The typing bubble on their side never appeared. The timer ticked down in my head. 9:59, 9:58. The little red dot in the avatar seemed to stare, though I knew that was dumb. That's how lack of sleep gets you. It puts personality in pixels and calls it intuition. I clicked. My browser snapped into a page that loaded as slow as a confession. Black background, silver serif font that felt expensive and out of time. No banner ads, no cookies pop up, no cheerful tutorial ghosts telling me where to click. At the top, centered, it said, claim your handle. One per person. The rest is observed. Beneath that, a single line to type. No back button. The URL was an onion address, private, masked, a little smug about it. I told myself I'd close it in 30 seconds. Curiosity is a key that fits too many locks. I typed my usual dread pilot, enter. The response arrived with the sterile impatience of a bank denial. Username already taken. Okay, common enough. I grinned at my own screen like a very small crowd. Fine. Let's get weirder. Dreadpilot 13, username already taken. The cursor kept blinking. It's strange how judgmental a blinking cursor feels at 3 in the morning. I tried Dread P1 Lot, that childish one for eye trick that used to let me hop into closed betas. Denied. Then Dread Pilot, Dread.pilot, the Dread Pilot, Pilot of Dread. Denied, 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 denied. I snorted and rubbed my eyes. Fine. Let's change styles. Quiet Knuckles, taken. Route 66 Ronin, taken. Microwave Ghost, taken. Whoever had been here before me had a sense of humor and an alarming amount of time. A minute became 10, which in the late night economy is the price of a bad decision. I threw nonsense at it. HNS 74AA, VVVV, underscore, VV, tonight we, all taken. A part of me started to enjoy the ridiculousness of it because laughing is cheaper than admitting that the hairs were standing on my arms. I leaned in, face reflected in the glass, warped by the monitor's curve. My eyes looked tired enough to belong to someone else. I typed Obscura, just to see. Taken. I took a sip from a dead can, made a face, and reached for the mug without looking. The coffee was cold and had a thin, dark skin that broke on my lip like something alive. put it down, and wiped my mouth with the back of my hand. Fine. Let's go with something absolutely nobody would choose. I typed my social security number. No, I didn't. I'm not that foolish. But I did type something I had never used for anything, the name of my childhood street, with my favorite number. Taken. I laughed. Actually laughed, an ugly sound that surprised the walls. What are the odds? I asked the dark, which didn't answer, but did lean closer. My own voice sounded too loud. The message box under the input flickered in a way I could feel more than see, like a subtle pressure change before a train hammers through a tunnel. It refreshed. Same instructions, one per person. The rest is observed. I tried the rest is observed, taken. I alt-tabbed to Google out of habit, then remembered where I was, onion, off the rails. I opened a text document and started pasting every weird handle I'd tried. It looked like an archaeological dig of my own impatience. A little voice, the careful one I mostly ignored, tapped on a window in my head. Back out. Go to bed. This is bait for something you won't like. The thing about late night is that sensible voices speak too soft. I tried 37 faceless things. Taken. Right, I muttered. We're doing this then. I squinted at the silver text. One per person. Did that imply a registry? A list somewhere? Could I see who took them? The page had no navigation, but I right-clicked and peeked at the source. It was a slab of minified code that looked more like blunt force than craft. Hidden in there, though, was a commented line. Archive. Observations? Recent. It felt like someone had left a door near my curiosity on purpose. This is how you end up in people's stories about mistakes. I pressed Ctrl-U again, then Ctrl-F and searched archive. No link, just the comment. I went back, typed in archive, taken. I kept going until the humor left and something else slid into its seat. The list in my text document grew, a column of names like Teeth in a Jar, Split Veil, Keepsake, Gently Down, Mother Tongue, Heavy Weather, Guest 137, Guest 137B, all taken. I tried Guest 137B, maybe, Guest 137BPLs, and felt ridiculous when those were taken too. The black page watched me stall. There's a sensation you get in certain lobbies of certain old buildings. Marble floors gone slippery with so much polish, walls whispering in just the wrong places, a skylight that makes you certain something is watching from above. This site had that. Whoever built it understood that every choice you make on a clean, dark canvas is a fingerprint. That's what observed meant. I was not just trying to get in, I was being measured. And still, I didn't back out. That's the worst part. Not that I was trapped, that I was choosing to be. I typed rook cage, taken, rook cage 2, taken, look up, taken. Okay, I said softly, as if negotiating with a cat. Truce. You tell me what this is, and I stop being an idiot. The cursor blinked. The silver font stayed exactly itself. I leaned back and tried to imagine the admin board on the other side, a list of incoming attempts with a little green dot next to my IP, and a footnote, "We'll keep trying if you pretend he has almost won." I imagined them lifting their coffee, amused, betting on which name would make me quit. My phone buzzed face down on the desk. For a heartbeat, I felt the old irrational dread, like a teacher had caught me doing something I didn't understand. I flipped the phone. It was the same unknown Discord user. Unknown. You can stop. My mouth went dry. I was not logged into anything that should have connected, not unless the site had jacked into my machine in some way that would have set my antivirus on fire. The message panel showed their first note and the new one, both stamped within the hour. No way to trace the profile. It was a throwaway with the personality of a wet match. I typed back, "Who are you?" The typing bubble did not appear. The site's page pulsed again. Not bright, but as if the black got even blacker center screen. That imprint of light you see after staring at something too long, only in reverse. I breathed through my nose and wiped my palm on my sweatpants. Okay. I tried something radical. I typed a name that wasn't mine, but almost was. Kind of name that shows up when a barista mishears you and you're too tired to correct them. It felt superstitious doing it. I hit enter and taken. I stood. My chair rolled back and tapped the bookshelf, setting a cheap frame rattling against a stack of old game cases. I paced to the kitchen and opened the fridge, bathed in light that felt judgmental. A lonely apple reflected the bulb like a planet. I closed the door, walked back, and sat down again like I'd been invited back into a conversation I wasn't leading. My cursor returned to the name field on its own. A glitch, I said out loud, because sometimes naming the thing keeps the edges of your world intact. On a new line in my text document, without sending it, I typed my actual name. Then I added 3 digits I knew I'd remember. Then I stared at it, feeling that odd ache you get in your nose when you're about to cry, except you're not. The body is full of false alarms. I deleted it. I typed "my hands are cold" instead, and laughed because they were. Taken. Fine, I whispered. One more, and then I'm done. The lie was so easy, I barely heard it. Nocturne cartographer. Taken. The clock in the top corner said 2:46. In the hall, my building's elevator yawned and shut, a metal throat swallowing something. I tried to listen for footsteps, neighbor coming home, someone leaving early, but I lived at the end of the hall and the sound was swallowed by walls thick enough to keep secrets. A new message blinked on the site just below the name field. Not the usual denial. Something else. I leaned closer until my breath fogged the glass. No more mapping. Pick truth. I sat back, the chair creaked. It was a cheap word, truth, thrown around in 1,000 marketing campaigns and couples arguments until it means what I want from you in this moment. But on the black page, it looked like a verdict. I typed truth taken. Of course it was. I swallowed, jaw tight, then dropped into pure stubbornness. If this was a hive mind of bored night owls, they'd tire. If it was a puzzle, I'd brute force it until I found the seam. If it was a prank, I'd get to the punchline and take my tiny medal home. So I typed my first pet's name. The shame of it made my neck warm. I would not admit to myself how quickly I did it. Denied. Then my mother's maiden name with numbers. Denied. I could feel something under the floorboards of the moment. Not movement exactly, but pressure. The sense that I had stepped onto a stage that didn't look like a stage. And then, for no good reason, for the first time, I typed out my full legal name. I didn't mean to. That's important to say. I watched my fingers do it before my mind caught up, as if there were a lag between instruction and motion. Muscle memory, I told myself. The way you type your password when you meant to search for a song, but that's not the right shape. This was like turning a corner and walking into a mirror. I typed my name, middle initial. Last name, no numbers, no flair. Enter. Username already taken. My hands went light, like all the blood had drained from them. The room became 2 degrees colder and 3 inches wider. The way spaces sometimes feel when you're suddenly unsure where their edges are. My phone buzzed again. Unknown. Stop trying. I backed out of the browser. The tab did not close. I clicked the X again and it shuddered, actually shuddered, and then remained, as if it were a window, looking in and not out. I dragged it to a corner, opened a new window, and typed an engine I trusted, something with a lot of white and a lot of cheerful font. I searched my own name. Ordinary stuff came back, an old bracket tournament I'd placed in, a commented thread from a game I'd modded, A photo of me blurry in the background of a college party where the caption insisted everyone had a great time. Nothing sinister, nothing strange. I added the word handle after my name, then username, then AKA, buried 4 pages deep, because I am the kind of person who will go 4 pages deep at 3 in the morning. There was a paste bin posted 6 months ago. The author was archive, no profile, no other posts. The content was a tidy list, like an index at the back of a terrible book. Handle on the left, link on the right. Most of the links were dead, 404s, 403s, pages deleted or shaved down to a stub. I scrolled down, eyes fuzzing with too much monitor. The handles were strange but familiar. Rook cage, gently down, quiet knuckles. My breathing got shallow. I pressed Control F and typed my own actual name. One result, there it was, in the same clean font as the rest. My name. Next to it, a shortened onion link that looked like someone had run it through a meat grinder. I told myself this didn't mean anything. People can scoop your name from a lot of places. People can make lists for attention. People can poison wells and laugh at the shapes thirsty folks see in the water. I told myself all that while my hand moved the mouse on its own, while the link hovered under the cursor, while my finger came down. Click. The site that loaded was not the same as the handle page. It was a spare little rectangle with a dark gray gradient like a curtain you'd see in a small-town theater. One line of text sat in the center, stream offline, pending. Below that, a chat box, empty. The timestamp read 000000, like a clock that hadn't decided to be born yet. For a long, stupid moment, I stared at the word pending and understood it the way you sometimes understand lyrics you've known for years, like you're finally not mishearing. Pending is not future. Pending is paused. I backed out, the tab stayed. The gradient rippled, not like water, but like fabric, touched by wind you weren't feeling. The chat box blinked as if someone had typed a single letter and then deleted it. My throat clicked when I swallowed. My Discord pinged a 3rd time. Unknown. Do not claim a handle. I typed back, why is my name on a list? This time, impossibly, the typing bubble appeared. It stayed, a pulsing ellipsis, like the tiny heartbeat of something you should not trust just because it is small. Then the reply, unknown, because you're being observed? I typed, by who? No answer. In the hall, the elevator yawned again. Not my floor. Not my business. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, not sure if they belonged to me. The light from the monitor carved a cold line down my cheekbones, and for a moment I could see myself in the reflection, a man alone at a desk, eyes too wide, shoulders hunched as though waiting for a hand to settle there. I clicked the handle claim page again, not sure why. Maybe I wanted it to be a simple denial again, a little silver no I could laugh at and call harmless. The page had not changed. 1 line to type, the same instructions, 1 per person. The rest is observed. I took a breath and typed, stop watching me. Taken. The house a block away let out that wind-prodded, haunted swing sound old metal gutters make, the kind that makes you think of playgrounds after dark. I rubbed the bridge of my nose and tried to measure the moment in rational terms. Someone scraped public names and tacked them to onion links. Someone is running a site that denies any handle you can come up with, because that's its trick. Someone is bored, cruel, or both. And yet, beneath all that reasonable scaffolding, something older knocked. It wasn't voice or logic. It was like the feeling I used to get as a kid at the top of the basement stairs. The air down there cooler by a few honest degrees. The wooden steps waiting with their big mouths open. I was about to shut the whole thing down, rip the Ethernet, power off, reboot, cleanse with the ancient ritual of a system restore, when the chat box on the gray stream page updated. A new line appeared without anyone typing it. System. Handle reservation confirmed. I stared. My stomach gave a small mean lurch. I hadn't claimed anything. I checked the handle page again. It still said to pick one. When I switched back to the gray page, the pending tag had shifted down a pixel, like something behind it had leaned forward to smell me. Another line. System. Reserved for my full legal name. No punctuation, no flourish. The most clinical bad news I had ever read. Last thing that happened that night, before the apartment remembered it was mine, and the hour noticed it was too late to keep being itself, was small. In my Discord, the unknown user finally sent a fourth message. Unknown. If you're going to run, you should start now. I didn't run? Where would I go inside an apartment I chose for its cheapness and concrete walls? I did the second worst thing instead. I reached up, grabbed the webcam, and turned it to face the wall. The Gray Pages chat box blinked once more. A final line dropped in, easy as a suggestion. System. Observation acknowledged. The monitor was still on when I woke up, though I don't remember falling asleep. My neck was sore in the way you get from a couch nap, but I'd been in my chair the whole time. The gray page was still there, its gradient unmoving now, as if whatever had been breathing on the other side had gone still. The chat box at the bottom had frozen on the last line. Observation acknowledged. For a moment, I let myself believe that maybe the reservation was just code for we've got your email or we've logged your IP. Something boring. Something a VPN and a password change could wash away. But I hadn't given them my email, and I wasn't on my VPN last night. The air in the apartment was colder than usual, and I didn't like the way my own reflection sat on the black glass of the screen. Faint, doubled, as if another person slightly behind me was also sitting at my desk. I spent the morning in a routine so normal, it felt like hiding. Shower, instant coffee, stale cereal, checking messages from actual people. I deleted the Discord conversation with the unknown account, though my hand hovered over the mouse longer than it should have, as if erasing the thread was deleting evidence instead of the connection. By noon, the curiosity was gnawing. I opened my notes file from last night, the list of all the failed usernames. Scrolling down, my stomach tightened. The bottom half of the list was gone, neatly erased. The last entry was Quiet Knuckles. I hadn't deleted anything. I checked the file history. No edits recorded since I'd made it. I told myself I'd just closed it without saving and lost the last chunk. But then I noticed something I couldn't explain. The remaining usernames had little ticks next to them. Asterisks I hadn't put there. Every single name had one. Around 2 p.m., my phone buzzed with an unknown number. Normally, I'd ignore it, but the timing was too suspicious. I answered with a sort of flat hello that carries a built-in "what do you want?" Nothing. Just a faint hum. Like microphone static without the breath. I waited a few seconds, then hung up. I went to check the missed call log. The number wasn't there. By evening, I decided to test something. I loaded up the Onion link to the handle claim page. The interface was exactly the same, one per person. The rest is observed. I typed in something random. Fossil teeth. Taken. Glass hunger. Taken. Then, just to push it, I typed my apartment number. This time, the denial didn't appear right away. The cursor blinked. The silver font seemed to breathe, almost imperceptibly, before the response finally loaded. Username already taken. Observed from city name, street name. I jerked back from the desk like it had burned me. That was my street, my building, and it wasn't guessing, it was telling me where it was watching from. The rest of the night was a dull hum of paranoia. Every sound felt amplified. The neighbor's dog clicking down the hallway, the groan of water pipes, the elevator doors opening somewhere above me. I locked the front door twice, even though it had never needed it before. At 11:42 p.m., my phone buzzed again, this time a Discord message from a different blank account. No red dot avatar, just a white circle. Unknown 2, he's close now. No context, no explanation. I typed back immediately, "Who?" No reply. I checked the gray stream page from last night. The pending text had changed. Stream offline, warming up, and below it, the timestamp had moved from 000000 to 000005. The clock was counting up. Somewhere, something had already started. The warming up label on the gray page hadn't changed when I checked it again at 1 a.m., but the timer was now at 0002:47. It wasn't counting fast. 1 second passed every few seconds, like it was syncing with some other clock. I almost closed the page, but then the chat box flickered and new text appeared. System. Viewers. 1. A beat later, system. Viewer joined, my full legal name. I hadn't touched anything. I hadn't joined anything. I just stared at the screen and felt that same pressure shift in the air I'd felt last night, like the walls had leaned in an inch. A faint scratching sound came from my right. I turned toward the window, but it was shut and locked. The sound was wrong for glass. It was the slow drag of something across a wall, deliberate, not random. I muted my PC audio. The sound kept going. That meant it wasn't from the stream. It was here. I took 3 steps toward the window before my phone lit up with a notification. Discord again from the red dot account. Unknown. Don't check the window. Stay at the desk. Scratching stopped. Back at the PC, I typed into the chat box on the gray page, "Who's watching?" No answer from system, but a new line popped up in a different color, a muted yellow. Observer. Look behind you slowly. Every nerve in me screamed to do the opposite, but my body was already moving. Not a quick turn, just the slow, hesitant pivot you'd do if you were being dared to check a shadow. The desk chair behind me was empty. I don't know what I expected. Maybe someone standing there, maybe nothing. But the space felt used, like a person had just been there and stepped aside when I turned. When I faced forward again, the timer on the stream had jumped to 000912. The stream itself still showed nothing, just that flat gray gradient, the kind you'd get if you filmed an empty room in bad light. But shapes were starting to emerge if I stared too long. Faint impressions like smudges on glass, suggesting a figure standing just outside the center of the frame. The chat updated again. Observer. Turn off the light in your kitchen. I froze. My kitchen light was on. I typed number. Another message. Observer. You already did. I turned my head. The kitchen was dark. I stood, heart hammering, and flicked the kitchen switch on. Light. Normal light. I walked back to the desk, telling myself I must have imagined it in the dark of the apartment. The gray screen had changed. Now there was a faint, grainy video feed inside the gradient, like an old VHS tape left in the rain. The angle was from above, looking down into my own apartment, my chair, my desk, my shoulders hunched over the keyboard. I tapped the monitor. The image shook like static fighting signal, but it stayed. It was me. Live, right now. The timestamp read 0012:02, and then in the chat box, observer, almost ready to claim your handle. The live feed of my own apartment was so grainy it made my skin itch. It wasn't quite real time. Every movement I made lagged by a second, sometimes 2, like I was watching a recording catching up with me. The observer typed again. Observer, you should sit still now. I didn't reply. My mouth was too dry, and the sound of my own breathing in the room was loud enough that I was afraid they could hear it through whatever feed this was. The timer on the stream ticked up slowly, 001304, 001305, then paused. System. Viewers, 2. I hadn't invited anyone. My stomach clenched as another message appeared. System. Viewer joined. Handle from my list. Quiet Knuckles. I stared at the name. I remembered typing it the night before, failing to claim it, laughing a little at the absurdity. Now it was here, watching with me. In the feed, something shifted. It took me a moment to notice because the grayness and static made it hard to tell shadows from shapes. But a second chair had appeared in the video. Not in my actual apartment, in the video. And sitting in that chair was a blurred figure, its face nothing but a warped smear, like the pixels refused to settle. The blur tilted its head toward me. Observer. That's Quiet Knuckles. I typed before thinking, what do you mean? That's a person. Observer. That's the handle you failed to claim. I read it twice before I understood. My chest went cold. The implication wasn't that they'd taken the username. The username was them. Every taken handle had belonged to someone. And now they were... What? Trapped? Recorded? Stored? The system chimed again. System. Viewer joined. Handle from my list. Rookage. On the video feed, a second blurred figure appeared in another chair beside the first. System. Viewer joined. Handle from my list. Gently down. Another chair filled. The figures didn't move much. They just sat there facing my desk, the blur in their heads turning fractionally as though tracking me through the screen. I minimized the page, heart pounding, but my desktop wallpaper had changed. It was the same feed, same grain, same apartment. But now the view was closer to me, the camera creeping forward, frame by frame, with every blink. I yanked the Ethernet cable from the back of the tower. The stream stayed. No connection, no internet, still live. That was the moment I realized I wasn't watching through my PC at all. I was watching through their device, wherever it was, and it was inside my apartment. The chat updated again, even though I was offline. Observer. Time to claim your handle. I typed with shaking hands. I don't want one. No reply. The timer ticked to 001500 and froze. The blurred figures in the feed began to move in unison, leaning forward. The closer they leaned, the more detail bled into their faces. Too much detail. Pores, scars, the sharp flash of teeth. They weren't blurs anymore. They were people, and I recognized them. The first was a man from a local missing persons poster I'd seen last month. The second was a streamer who had gone dark 6 months ago. The third was me. Not current me. A version of me. Skin waxy, eyes half-lidded, mouth hanging slightly open like a marionette left mid-sentence. Observer. Handle claimed my full legal name. My phone buzzed on the desk. No number, no contact, just the same line that had appeared on the pastebin list next to my name. The shortened onion link. The feed showed the other me standing up from the chair and walking toward the camera. The view jostled with each step until the screen was nothing but the pale oval of its face. My face. Then the feed cut to black. I must have blacked out because the next thing I remember is the sound of my front door clicking shut. I was on the floor beside my desk, the monitor dark, my phone dead. When I powered the PC back on, my notes file was open. All the handles were gone except one. It was my name. I tried to tell myself it was just a hallucination, too much caffeine, too many hours awake, until I checked the pastebin again. The list was still there, only now every entry was crossed out except mine. And next to my name, the link was no longer an onion address. It was a live stream. The thumbnail showed a dark room, a figure sitting in front of a computer, face hidden in shadow. My chair, my desk, my hands on the keyboard, waiting. Thanks for listening. I really enjoyed putting this story together for you. If you liked it, hit that like button, subscribe for more stories, and share it with someone who's into this kind of stuff. See you next time.